Next steps in devolution of power. 75 years of independence provide us with an excellent opportunity to recheck the direction in which the Indian democracy is progressing. Much has been accomplished in these 75 years, and a lot more could have been done. But that is not the subject of the conversation. This talk focuses only on one key aberration that is emerging in our democratic arena for last few decades: rise of political dynasties. Is there anything wrong with political dynasties? Many would ask. Why should we even grudge them? When every other profession, businessmen, bureaucrats, doctors, lawyers, artists, sportsmen, judges, all of them have dynasties. Why not politicians? There can be no objection if a family member conveniently wades into their family enterprise. Nothing wrong in relatives of politicians turning to politics. What does not appear to be in the spirit of democracy, however, is the individuals from the same family occupying the constitutional positions, elected officers, public officers, one after the other. Son, daughter, husband, wife, brothers, all becoming MLAs, MPs, ministers, one after the other, and taking up the positions which have been vacated by one amongst them. So much so that it starts looking more like a Jagirdari system rather than a democracy. Politicians' relatives can definitely run political parties, set up social and cultural organizations and run them any which way. But why do they need to occupy public offices, constitutional offices, elected offices, vacated by one of them, and turn the democracy into a family enterprise? Many would argue that this is an unreasonable restriction. After all, why should we deny a talented, eligible, and popular leader an opportunity to serve the people? Just because one of his relatives had also served the people? That is definitely not the intention. Such Gen Next leaders can definitely carry on their public service even without public office. After all, public service is not some exclusive domain of those holding public offices. Choose agriculture, industry, business, commerce, healthcare, education, public service, and excel. Why stick to a public office, elected position? But still, is this not a denial of a fundamental constitutional right of an individual to pursue any profession of choice? Can you deny it to them just because someone else in their family had also practiced it? Our constitution actually provides a wonderful balance between the rights of the individual and the restriction on these rights in public interest. Over the decades, these provisions have been appropriately interpreted by our courts to suit the needs of the society. Fundamental rights are guaranteed under our constitution, but they are also subject to reasonable restrictions. This restriction definitely is not life threatening, not lowering the dignity of the individuals, or depriving a person of opportunities to grow to his fullest potential in his life. Go ahead and flourish in any other walk of life. Why stick to government positions? But why should you keep away a popular leader elected to these offices through a free and fair elections? Many would ask. The answer is same as above. This is a reasonable instruction on an individual to achieve a greater good of society. A free and fair society needs to demonstrate its credentials by continuously throwing up new leaders instead of electing and re electing the same leader and his relatives. Mind you, the intention is only to increase the gene pool available to the society to ensure a good future. USA, for example, allows maximum of 2 terms to the office of the President of America, no matter how popular the individual is. And I don't think anybody in USA, including these ex-presidents, feel that this is an unreasonable restriction. So why should we not follow or improve the American model? But what is the guarantee after all? Some would say that the new leader chosen this way would turn out to be better. Sorry, actually, there is no guarantee. But then there is no guarantee of a better leader even in the present system. No political system gives such a guarantee that it will keep producing only good leaders. Good political systems create and maintain effective checks and balances in the various arms of the state. Here, we are only trying to improve the system further by introducing a mechanism for infusion of a fresh blood periodically. Some would still not be satisfied. They would ask, has it been proven that this will ensure the public good and not create some kind of a chaos? We are very scared of chaos. This is definitely a difficult question to answer, I would say. Mainly because there would be no agreement, no consensus on what is the adequate proof that this will ensure public good. But if you study history and political science and if you take them as a guide, it is very clear that concentration of authority, concentration of power in hands of individual or a family has never been in interest of a society or the nation. It has not helped anybody. Any kind of stagnation anywhere will lead to pollution. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Don't ask for proof. It is very well settled. Of course, American model will not be sufficient to meet the special needs of our society. We need a more comprehensive and a more stringent version of the American model. We must allow maximum of 2 terms for any constitutional office to an individual, his blood relations and marital relations, all of them taken together. Apply the same rule for corporator, MLA, MP, minister, prime minister, president. No one and his blood and marital relatives should occupy any constitutional or public office for more than 2 terms. The revolutionary impact of such a devolution of power can only be imagined. Now, the first rush to counter this proposal is this is a great assault on individuals' rights. I think we have already considered various objections to of this nature already and answered them adequately. Public interest is too important, too valuable to be left to possibility of a good intentions of an individual and his family. Many will still not be convinced. They will have number of doubts. For example, they will ask, how can one be an MP, a minister, and a prime minister in just 2 terms? If it only indicates their agreement with the central proposal of limiting the number of terms to an office, this should be a welcome question. This and many such issues can be accommodated with suitable modifications of this proposal. For example, you could allow more terms to people who take up such appointments. We can define and refine the central idea to our heart's content. As long as we are honest to the idea of further devolution of the power, we will always be on right path. There is no need to get lost in the details at this stage. Generally, such ploys are employed by the rulers of the day to confuse and diffuse the issue and let it fall out of a public memory. On the other hand, many would say even the cousins and in laws should be included in this list. Some will ask, why only constitutional and elected offices? Why not extend this to all the corporations and corporates and any public office? To this, my only answer would be welcome aboard. To those who believe in this idea and wish to extend it further, many would still call it an absolutely impractical idea and a cranky idea and wonder which political leader and which political party is going to agree to such limitations. Frankly speaking, they're right. No one would. But that is precisely the strength of this idea. Their opposition, their disagreement only underlines that this is an overdue reform, overdue devolution of the power in the democracy. Every new idea is always doubted, laughed at, deliberately ignored, criticized, opposed, attacked. But these steps only show that idea is gaining ground and there is need to oppose it more and more fiercely. But once it gathers a critical mass, the idea will be debated, discussed, accepted, and God willing, it may get implemented sometime, somewhere, maybe in our own lifetimes. No ruler has ever willingly shared or parted with his power, nor is a current generation of rulers likely to do it. However, I'm sure all of them will be finally very happy about this forced switch from the world of power politics to some other more satisfying and more meaningful pursuit in life. And their resistance would further decline when they realize that this change is applicable to everyone, not to one individual, one family. Actually, this provision opens the doors, multiple doors for individuals and the societies, and just stops them from doing only one thing: singular pursuit of power forever. 75 years of independence is a great milestone in a lifetime of a nation, and further devolution of power at this juncture will be an excellent idea. It will broad base and strengthen the democracy in India and give a great boost to the nation building efforts. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.